This is a short video introducing the course Computability and Complexity that I'll be giving this autumn. I'll be talking mostly about the format of the course, which is a bit different from what you're used to. I'll also talk a bit about the content. Please watch this video before the first session of the course. This course is also different from many of the courses that you've had in the past, in the sense that it's a foundational course. It's a course about what computers cannot do. There are many important problems in the world of computing that are unsolvable and will always be unsolvable, no matter what computers we have at our disposal, no matter what programming language we use. They will always be unsolvable. And we're talking about foundational problems, important problems in computing that we cannot solve. There are other problems that are solvable in principle but are not solvable in practice, because any algorithm that we could probably ever think of would be completely inefficient. So we need to know those as well. The important message of this course is that there are cases where we cannot program a way out of things. So this teaches us about the limit of our subject area and the limitations that we're faced with. This is a foundational course. Now, the structure of this course is somewhat different from what you've seen in the past. I use a format that's known as the flipped classroom format. There are no traditional lectures, but instead I use video podcasts that I've recorded, and you're supposed to watch these before the session. There are no ordinary lectures. So before each session you should download the podcast from Moodle. I will also put it on YouTube. Watch the podcast, read the text in the textbook. Then when we meet in class, we'll be focusing on problem solving. There'll be a common introduction to each session. We'll have plenary discussions, we'll have problem solving, and you'll do this at your own pace. We've got some really competent teaching assistants. The exam of this course is a written exam. The content of the exam is aligned with that of the class sessions, which means that the problems that we'll be solving in our sessions will have the same format as the problems at the exam. The exam is not an open book exam. You cannot bring a textbook. You cannot use your textbook at the exam. Everyone will get a compendium, and it's the only aid you'll be allowed to use. The textbook that we'll be using is called Introduction to the Theory of Computation. It's the third edition that you're supposed to be using. Please, please, please remember it's the third edition. There is a second edition and a first edition, and there even a preliminary edition, but please use the third edition. There's an American version of the third edition, there's an international version of the first edition. It doesn't matter which one you have, but please, this is the book to use. I wish I could say that we'll always be using the same room. All our sessions will be held in the lecture theatre, but it's not always the same lecture theatre. Sometimes we'll be using the lecture theatre at Bioswite 7H, and other times we'll be using the lecture theatre at Krogsstræde 3, and at other times still we'll be in the lecture theatre at Vibergstræde 15. The schedule will tell you where to go, but it's not always the same lecture theatre, I'm afraid. And none of these lecture theatres are ideal, but these are the only rooms we can get. So let's try to make as good use of them as possible. Now, this is a very large class. There are students from the DAT5 degree program, from the software degree program, and from the CSIT7 degree program, and it's one of the largest classes that I've ever taught. So we decided to split this large class group in two. In other words, the teaching will be duplicated. There's going to be a session from 8:15 to 10 o'clock, because all the sessions are held in the morning. And it'll be from DAT5 and CSIT or DAT-IT7. It'll be in English. The plenary activities will be in English, because I know that there are people who don't speak Danish. And then after that, from 10:15 to 12, it'll be Software 5, and the plenary activities will be in Danish. So please show up for the right session. That means show up for the first one. Now, there's something I should say about attendance, because it's always a good idea to attend the teaching activities. If that wasn't the case, then I wouldn't teach. there are different activities involved. There's watching the podcasts, that can hopefully be useful. Reading the text, now that's useful and essential, I would say, because there's a lot of writing involved in this course, and in order to be able to write well, you need to be able to read the content. And finally, active learning is always important, no matter what you're trying to learn. Being an active learner is important. In this course, it's the sessions in the lecture theatre that are important. My promise to you is that if you attend the sessions, and if at least 85% of you attend the sessions, I will reduce the exam syllabus, I will extend the compendium that you can use for the exam, and I'll hold a question and answer session before the exam. So please attend. It is really important. There's one thing, or actually two things I'd like you to do before the first session. One is to watch the podcast. You can find it on Moodle. Download the podcast or watch it on YouTube. Watch it, read the text associated with the podcast, and show up for the first session. That's very important. See you then.